Now we're following developing news here on the WHAS11 night team after a woman was shot in Westport Village in East Louisville. Several different agencies responded to the shooting center off Hare Lane around 8 tonight for that shooting. That's where Taylor Woods and photojournalist Ian Hardwick join us live. Taylor, we know Linden's police chief spoke on scene tonight. What did he say?
Well, Isaiah, Linden Police Chief Robert Schroeder tells us that a woman had been shot multiple times, and just moments ago, LMPD's homicide unit was in this area collecting evidence outside these businesses. And off-camera, witnesses told us that they heard multiple gunshots and lots of people were around at the time. Now, Linden Police Chief Robert Schroeder also tells us his department, LMPD and St. Matthews, responded to this shopping center in the Graymore-Devondale just after 8 tonight. When officers got here, Schroeder says bystanders were trying to help the woman out in the parking lot. She was taken to U of L Hospital. Linden Police requested help from LMPD's homicide unit because of the severity of the woman's injuries. At this time, we don't know the age of the woman or the reason behind the shooting, as this is still an ongoing investigation. Here's what Chief Schroeder had to say to the community regarding this shooting.
Acts of violence like this are unacceptable. They terrorize members of our community. Thankfully, that's not a situation we deal with in Linden, in Graymore-Devondale, and in the other cities that we serve, but it's still a concern to all of us who live in this community.
Now, Chief Schroeder specifically thanked those bystanders for jumping in to help the woman after the shooting. Again, this is still an ongoing investigation, and police are asking anyone that knows any information about this shooting to contact 574 LMPD. Reporting live in Linden, Taylor Woods, WHAS 11 Night Team on your side.
Taylor, thank you so much. More news here at 11. A man was rushed to University of Louisville Hospital after being shot in Shelbyville earlier this evening. Shelbyville police say just before 5:30, a man was walking on Juniper Drive when he was shot by someone driving by. The man was transported to the hospital where his condition is unknown at this time. Anyone with information about this shooting is encouraged to contact Shelbyville police at 633-2326. New tonight, a New Albany community is bringing awareness to the devastating impacts of domestic violence more than a year after a beloved mother's murder. Brandy Douglas was one of 2 people shot and killed at a gas station in April 2022. The alleged killer, her husband, Shirok Douglas. Tonight, friends held a fundraiser for Brandy's family, including her 4 kids. Her best friend, Brittany Linney, told us more needs to be done to address violence within the home quicker.
Other women out there that's also in this situation, and they feel like they have nowhere to turn to. We don't have resources here. Select few if we do. From experience, I've been there, I know. Like, I just felt like I had nowhere to go, and it was Brandy that helped me, you know what I'm saying, to get away from my situation. And I wish I could have done the same for her, but I was too late, you know, I feel like I was too late.
Meanwhile, Shirok Douglas is set for his jury trial on July 24th. Brandy's friends telling us tonight he deserves the harshest of penalties for leaving her kids without a mom. And family and friends of Mark Jaggers Jr. say the police and mayor's office have not painted a full picture of his death. An LMPD detective shot Jaggers last week in what police are calling an armed carjacking attempt. Body camera video right here shows the gun Jaggers was holding when he opened the door of the detective's car. Family members say Jaggers' girlfriend was dropping him off at home and that he was checking out a suspicious car by his house. The family attorney does not dispute he was holding a gun and said it was a reasonable thing to do when looking into a suspicious vehicle. They believe police should have recognized what was about to happen.
I do not dispute that he had his gun out, as any sensible human being would do if he's investigating a very suspicious car.
My son said, "Who's in that car?" But he didn't contact my son until he shot him. He didn't hit the siren, he didn't hit the horn.
We reached out to KSP, who is handling the investigation, about the allegations made by the family, but we have yet to hear back as of this newscast. New in the night team, horse trainer Safi Joseph Jr. has been cleared in a Kentucky Horse Racing Commission investigation. Joseph was under investigation after 2 of his horses collapsed and died following races at Churchill Downs this spring, and his Derby horse was scratched. Necropsies into the deaths of the 2 horses did not find any conclusive causes, according to mortality reviews. Following his clearance, Churchill Downs announced he will be permitted to enter horses in races effective immediately. An abortion is still legal in Indiana tonight, despite a state Supreme Court ruling lifting one of the blocks on the law. Today, the High Court struck down one of the injunctions that has kept an abortion ban from going into effect to this point. The Supreme Court ruled the ban does not violate the state's Constitution's privacy protections. 3 of the 5 justices said while Indiana's Constitution provides some protection of abortion rights, the General Assembly can still determine whether and to what extent abortions can be prohibited. Indiana's Attorney General called the decision a win for life, thanking those who fought for this decision. Meanwhile, the ACLU called today's decision devastating and vowed they will continue to fight to restore reproductive rights in Indiana. Now, although the court's decision lifts one injunction, a separate lawsuit is keeping the practice legal. The second case is focusing on religious freedoms and is still working its way through the court. That lawsuit is expected to be heard in September. The Indiana ban, if it were to eventually take effect, would allow exceptions in cases of rape and incest before the 10th week of pregnancy. It also allows for exceptions to protect the mother's life and physical health, and if the fetus has a lethal anomaly.
What we don't know is how abortion will work after the ban goes into effect. We don't know if clinics will be able to stay open or if everyone will have to go to a hospital to have this care. We don't know who will be allowed to provide this care. There are not very many of us in the state that provide this care, and not all of us work in a hospital.
Many questions for Dr. Katie McHugh, who also tells us she will continue to see patients and provide as much care as she legally can while these cases go through the court system. Meanwhile, the U.S. Supreme Court dropped 2 major decisions impacting LGBTQ rights and student debt relief. Justices struck down President Biden's plan to forgive up to $20,000 each for millions of borrowers across the country. In a 6-3 decision, the majority said the Biden administration overstepped its authority. The administration is now shifting focus, instead attempting to forgive debt through a new plan. ABC's M. Nguyen has the details tonight.
Tonight, President Joe Biden blasting the Supreme Court for rejecting his $430 billion federal student loan relief program.
Oh, these Republican officials just couldn't bear the thought of providing relief for working class, middle class Americans.
The 6-3 decision split between conservatives and liberals, delivering a major defeat for Biden's plan, which would have wiped out up to $20,000 in debt for millions of borrowers. The White House had approved the plan under the HEROES Act, but Republican states pushed back, accusing the administration of executive overreach, arguing it was unfair to people who already paid back their loans or didn't go to college because of cost. The High Court agreed with the states, with Chief Justice John Roberts writing the Education Secretary did not have the power to rewrite that statute from the ground up. Justice Elena Kagan responding, this court today decides that some 40 million Americans will not receive the benefits the plan provides because, so says the court, that assistance is too significant.
The recent COVID-19 payment pauses presented a life raft for my wife and I. As like many others, we faced the uncertainty of careers and found ourselves having to live as a one-income household.
Now Biden is vowing to try again with a new debt relief plan, pivoting his sights to the Higher Education Act, which can compromise, waive, or release loans, though it's not clear who might get loan relief or how much. 26 million Americans had already applied for the original plan. The president also announced anyone who misses a student loan payment in the first 12 months after payments resume in October will temporarily not be at risk of default or have their credit harmed. And Biden added the administration has finalized a new repayment program that lessens the amount people need to pay each month.
No one with an undergraduate loan today or in the future, whether from a community college or a four-year college, will have to pay more than 5% of disposable income to repay their loan.
M. Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
And even before today's ruling, the payment pause was set to expire 60 days after June 30th, which is August 30th. The U.S. Department of Education previously confirmed student loan payments will be due again in October, with interest kicking in September 1st. This effectively restarts loans that have been frozen since March of 2020. And the court's other landmark decision will now allow certain businesses to refuse some services to LGBTQ plus people or anyone whose message they might oppose. The decision is leaving many concerned about the potentially sweeping ramifications. The majority opinion sided with a Colorado web designer who refused to work on same-sex weddings. She says it violated her First Amendment rights. But in dissenting opinions, justices raised concerns the decision threatens to allow the exclusion of other groups from many services. The Family Foundation in Kentucky called the ruling a milestone victory, saying the court, quote, rightfully reaffirmed that the government can't force people to promote something that is not true and say a message that they don't believe, end quote. Meanwhile, Chris Hartman with the Fairness Campaign said, quote, on the last day of Pride Month, the U.S. Supreme Court has issued one of its worst opinions ever against LGBTQ Americans. For the first time, the court has granted businesses a constitutional right to discriminate against a protected class, endangering and further marginalizing the LGBTQ community.